Hey everyone, back tuning into this evening's Snow Watch update. Just want to talk a little bit about Wednesday's weather. I did a weekend forecast earlier on, explaining that we've got this situation on Wednesday where there's a band of rain or snow moving down across the country. It's rain out in the Atlantic and it's pushing into cold air through the course of Tuesday night and into Wednesday. All looks very marginal. I just want to really show you why it's such a complicated forecast for whether it's going to rain or snow on Wednesday. So I'll talk you through the charts in a second. And you may be none the wiser at the end of the update, actually. I think we'll have to wait a few more days, really, to determine whether this is going to be rain or snow, or just a wintry mix coming across the country on Wednesday. But it'll be interesting to see why snow is so difficult to forecast generally in this country. When it's very cold, of course, there's no problem as long as there's precipitation, it'll snow. But in these marginal situations, that tends to be what we get in this country, really. In a marginal situation, snow is just about the hardest sort of weather element to forecast. So I'll show you the charts, walk you through them in a second. Before I go on with that, though, just say about the ads. Now, there's links to articles on all the pages. As always, have a browse for widgets and click through the links. Here's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much, GMAT. It's helping to keep the website completely free. So we start off on Tuesday with the GFS model. And we're going to be using the GFS for this update because there's so much information you can get, but you can't get this sort of information from the other models, unfortunately. So we start off with the chart for Tuesday, midday Tuesday. And you can see what's going on. We've got a ridge of high pressure through most parts of the country. That is within cold air. We've got cold air coming down across the country at the moment. And that'll still be around on Tuesday. Now, the southwesterly winds for Scotland and Northern Ireland indicating a weather system starting to move in off the Atlantic into that colder air. As we progress through to midnight on Wednesday, that system is coming southwards and eastwards through Scotland, Northern Ireland, just starting to move into northern England. The high pressure is going towards Scandinavia, trying to keep these cold temperatures coming in off the continent. It'll be pretty cold across Germany and the Low Countries by Wednesday. And that cold air is trying to come in across the country, particularly England and Wales. So as we go through to midday Wednesday, you see what's happened. There's an elongation appearing in the isobars, and I'll perhaps just highlight this for you. I haven't got the highlighter ready, but I'll just highlight this for you so you can see where that elongation in the isobars is. So it's this elongation, excuse me, just here. That is telling us that as this front is coming into this wedge of cold air, it's actually starting to stall. And when you see the isobars sort of kinking like this, it's telling you that the front is coming to a halt in that cold air. So essentially the mild air is coming up against this wedge of cold air via the weather front, and it's starting to occlude. We go through to 6 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday, and again we do see this kink in the isobars actually pushing down in towards the Bay of Biscay by that point. So the weather front is lying in this sort of position. That's a little bit wrong, actually. The weather front is lying in this sort of position through the central swathe of the country, and cold air is still trying to come in from the east. It's also following the weather front from the north and the west as well. But the weather front itself generally has quite mild Atlantic air associated with it, so that's why it's such a complicated one to predict. And you can see this again with the upper air temperature. So these are the upper air temperatures for midday on Tuesday. The yellow area here, this big yellow area, if you're within that, it can't snow. It will never snow if you're inside this yellow area. It will always be rain because you're above 0 degrees at 850 HPA. So that's the mild sector at midday on Tuesday coming into Scotland and Ireland, while England and Wales is still within the -5 isoband. It's still cold at that point. We go through to 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday, and you see this yellow area is moving southwards and eastwards, so it's covering much of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England and Wales. Rest of England and Wales, so central east parts, still within cold air. Now, as we go up to midnight Wednesday, look what happens. That yellow area starts to shrink away. So it's a big warm sector in the north and west at 6 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday. But by midnight on Wednesday, that warm sector is beginning to disappear. The yellow curves are beginning to disappear. So that's telling us that weather is occluding out, if you like, as the cold air and the mild air are meeting one another. So by 6 o'clock in the morning, all of the yellow has gone. And we're left with these very marginal upper air temperatures. So the upper air temperatures are between -5 and 0 degrees, which is very marginal. It can snow with this kind of these kind of upper air temperatures, but it just depends how cold it is on the surface, really. It will either be rain or snow or a wintry type mix, but that is a warm sector sort of occluding out, and you don't see it all that often, so it does show that this cold air that we've got for the middle part of the week is quite stubborn in nature. As we go through the course of Wednesday, we keep the -5 isotherm very close to the eastern coast, and it starts to come back into the north and the west of the country. So by midnight on Thursday, actually that cold air is beginning to return, mainly from the north and the west. This is a precipitation forecast for midday Tuesday. Here's all the rain up to the north and west of the country as we go through the course of Tuesday into Wednesday. That rapidly spreads across Scotland and Ireland, so it turns very wet through Tuesday into Wednesday in the north and west. Notice at that point England and Wales is mainly dry. And then as we go through in 6 o'clock in the morning, you notice the progress on Wednesday, of this system is slowing down. There's a lot of rain in the north and west, but it's struggling to make much southwards and eastwards progress. That is as the cold air begins to hold it up. By 6 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday, that front is lying through England and Wales. Notice at that point it still hasn't reached East Anglia in the far southeast of England. It's still dry and cold, but it has cleared Scotland and Northern Ireland. But this is definitely slowing down this weather front through the course of Wednesday as it's meeting this wedge of cold air. Midnight on Thursday, it's still across many parts of England and Wales, just starting to get in towards East Anglia and southeast England. And then 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, that front is stuck across East Anglia and South East England. It stays there actually through much of Thursday, so it does finally stall in the east of the country. One important factor on whether this is rain or snow will be the dew points. That's the surface temperature, really, or reflective of the surface temperatures. This is the dew point, or these are the dew points from the weatheroutlook.com for midnight on Wednesday. You notice below freezing for much of England and Wales, above freezing for Scotland and Northern Ireland. If a dew point is above freezing, doesn't matter what else is going on, doesn't matter what the upper air temperatures are doing, it won't snow if the dew points are above freezing. If the dew points are below freezing, though, in a marginal situation, that, along with evaporative cooling, and that's the one element that models can't really take on board, evaporative cooling is basically where the precipitation falls through the atmosphere and just cools down the temperatures on the surface. So if the dew point is below freezing and you get evaporative cooling, generally it will snow. So this is the dew point for midnight on Wednesday. Below freezing for England and Wales, above freezing for Scotland and Northern Ireland. It'll definitely be raining there away from high ground. Through the course of Wednesday, well, it turns very cold in the early hours across the east of the country, but as we go through into Wednesday itself, it's going in 3-hourly steps. It's a 9 o'clock Wednesday. You notice still below freezing with the dew points, much of England and Wales, and beginning to turn cold of Scotland and Northern Ireland as well. So there's definitely we're definitely losing the warmer sector through the course of Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This is how the dew point's looking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. So still below freezing across East Anglia and South East England. Elsewhere, still generally a little bit above freezing. So this is the complication. We're around 1 or 2 degrees with the dew points here, but many parts of England and Wales, the far south, going up to 4 degrees, so it'll be rain there. But elsewhere, we're around 1 or 2 Celsius with the forecast of the dew points on Wednesday afternoon. That's just about close enough to freezing if you factor in evaporative cooling from the precipitation. Possibly just to pull things back towards freezing with the dew point, although it's actually saying 2 degrees there for many parts of England and Wales. Factoring in evaporative cooling, that could just be enough to pull us into pull our dew points down to freezing and possibly produce snow. So it's a very, very complicated one, this, but as we go through the course of Wednesday evening, most dew points do finally start to go below freezing then into the early hours of Thursday. And finally, this is the precipitation type forecast from the Weather Outlook. You find all of these charts at Weather Outlook via the links page, by the way. Just click on theweatheroutlook.com and then you can go and see all this for yourself. So this is how it's looking at midnight on Wednesday with the precipitation type forecast. Got a wintry mix across Scotland and Northern Ireland, a mix of rain or snow. Snow will mainly be at elevation, I would think, rain on lower levels. As we go through Wednesday itself, this is 6 o'clock in the morning. You notice there's some snow coming through northern parts of England with rain around the coast. So this is the point where the warm sector is occluding out. We begin to lose the warm sector. It is turning towards snow in the early hours of Wednesday across northern England. We go through the course of Wednesday morning and notice this front has really ground to a halt here across Northern Ireland and Wales and South West England. For Wales and South West England it's rain. For Northern England and Southern Scotland it's mostly forecast to be snow. So there's still a bit of a warm set here across Wales and South West England. The colder air is undercutting, I think, across Southern Scotland and Northern England. Going through Wednesday afternoon, we find the rain and snow moving down towards the Midlands. Mainly rain for the Midlands, snow again for Northern England. And then we go into the evening of Wednesday, really with a wintry mix. What we're sitting here across the Midlands, Lincolnshire, Eastern England, is that there's a mix of rain or snow. We've got these white splotches indicating some wintry potential, but it is mostly rain away from Northern England. However, as we go through the early hours of Thursday, we do start to find increasingly that this rain turns to snow. And even in the southeast, as we go through Thursday morning, this is for midday Thursday, we've got snow here for East Anglia and southeastern parts of England. So eventually we do get there. It takes a very long time for the southeast to turn from rain to snow. It does eventually get there. But it's a very, very complicated one. And as I say, we don't know the answer to this yet. I think for Scotland and Northern Ireland, it is mainly going to be rain away from high ground because you're within that big warm sector on Tuesday night. But for Wednesday itself, I would say the greatest risk of snow is probably for Northern England, probably over the Pennines, over the high ground. Elsewhere, though, don't discount the possibility of some snow through the course of Wednesday. It'll just be a case of how long that cold surface air holds on for. So obviously I'll be updating this over the next few days. It may very well turn out to be a complete non-event, but let's just wait and see how it pans out. Right, I thought I'd just give you this one anyway, because it is interesting to see how snow is forecast in this country and why it is so difficult, and that is a great example of why many times snow is a very, very difficult weather element to forecast. Hope you found it interesting on this Saturday evening. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.